Thundersport GB at Pembrey, big welcome back. We're up next with the Morello Services Thundersport GP1s, including the Superstock Thousands and Super Twins. Great race earlier, Steve, and a good win for that man, Peter Baker.
Yes, the 2009 champion, somewhere near the form that we saw in 2009 when he lifted the trophy. There's Ian Mackman, a regular TT runner, very experienced, and Chris Barnes, who's having a great weekend, his personal best weekend of Thundersport GB career, a podium in race 1. There's Alex Heaton, I saw Greg Lewis there as well, Angelo De Rosa. Jamie Wilkins had problems with his bikes on Friday practice, I believe, and isn't able to race. No Phil Crow, of course, because he is absent on BSB duty, trying his luck out for once. And at the front here from the start, it looks like Michael Robertson again.
Well, they get away well, and Ian Mackman and Lee Reevely especially pleased about that. They picked up 10-second penalties for over-optimistic starts in the earlier race, but absolutely spot on this time. Fairly certain there weren't any penalties there. And out the front, Michael Robertson it is that shows in the lead at the beginning from Ian Mackman and Peter Baker.
Yeah, worth remembering that Ian Mackman currently leading the Superstock 1000cc Championship, and Robertson has been picking away at that lead. It's still pretty comfortable, but Mackman, who did miss around at Cadwell, a bit further back there, we see glimpses of number 22. That is Lee Powell ahead of Charlie Flett, and 280, that's Stephen Foster.
Steve Foster at the back of the field, but up the front, it is 199, Michael Robertson from Peter Baker. In second place, he's got ahead of Ian Mackman. There we see Alex Heaton being chased by Greg Lewis. Greg, of course, a race winner back at Snetterton.
Yes, and he's got Tony Rainford just behind him. Tony is sponsored by Motorbike Accident Law, who happened to sponsor the Formula 600 class that we saw a little while ago. Michael Robertson getting a little bit sideways into hatchets there with Baker in hot pursuit.
Peter Baker really giving it the big one there. He closed right in on Michael Robertson. It looked as though Robertson was going to ease away at the front of this, but Peter Baker is certainly giving it the big guns in second place. There he is, look, dragging himself right up onto the tail of Michael Robertson. And Peter Baker is certainly steaming along. Robertson, of course, leading the race overall and leading the stock thousands.
Yeah, that last lap, a couple of tenths quicker for Peter Baker there, was the fastest lap of the race, so he's certainly the man on the move. There is the battle for third, Mackman ahead of Chris Barnes, number 21, who's having a superb weekend here in Wales.
Astonishing, isn't it? It's a little epiphany for Chris Barnes. Suddenly, really is a leading contender. Look at this, Peter Baker lining up that run down the inside, but a wise head there, just didn't fancy there was enough room to do it safely, so backs off, plenty of race left. Robertson, though, leads just from Baker.
Just a nasty bump just into that left-hander at the clubhouse corner before they make their way into the S's. And these bikes in particular, the big 1000cc's, that really does become apparent as you see them charging around there. Peter Baker looking for a move up the inside into Brooklyn's hairpin. Sublime.
Absolutely stunning, wasn't it? And well, that was a very good move indeed, and it just shows, like all top riders, you have to be able to trust the guy that you're racing with. That was beautifully done.
It's a classic case here of the experienced former champion racing against the newcomer here. It's really great to see, and nice to see Peter Baker putting on some decent moves.
Yeah, he's certainly having a better weekend than of late. Really is working hard. Talk about better weekends. Look at Chris Barnes. He's got up ahead of Ian Mackman again. There's Alex Heaton and Greg Lewis.
Yeah, Lee Reevely's caught the pair of them up. The leading Super Twin runner, sponsored by E2E Solutions. He's trying to get his way past Greg Lewis. Meanwhile, at the front here, Peter Baker rolls off the throttle, off with the brakes, exits Brooklands onto the Speedway straight and into the very quick right-hander at Woodlands.
This is another such an impressive ride from Michael Robertson. He's been caught and passed by the very much more experienced Peter Baker, but he's hanging on in there. He's up there in second, and you don't want to count him out yet. Ian Mackman, well, you know, any time, any race of the year up until now, you'd have said Ian Mackman, would he get past by Chris Barnes? And if he did, wouldn't he get past him again? And at the moment, Barnes hanging on in there. That's brilliant riding from him. Greg Lewis once again sandwiched between Alex Heaton and Lee Reevely. Lee comfortably leading the Super Twins, of course. Look how Robertson has got back to Baker.
Yes, he's just been watching his every move, maybe finding out a couple of places on circuit where he can make up some time. Baker there, well, there they go, either side of the tail ender. That's a bit of a nerve-wracking moment for any back marker, but Stephen Foster there getting a glimpse of the leaders as they come out, but this really is anyone's. Robertson doing a great job, matching him for pace, and pulls alongside him down the start-finish straight as they make the way into Hatchets. Not this time.
Yeah, no, he's going to maintain their positions. Peter Baker runs a little wide on the exit, though. Ooh, and he needs no second asking, does Michael Robertson. One tiny, it wasn't even really an error. It was just a difference in line, and Robertson said, thank you very much. Past he goes, and Peter Baker's got to do it all over again as Greg Lewis down into Hatchets as well.
There's number 138, Michael Blank on the Kawasaki.
Michael picked up a really good finish earlier on, but now hard to tear your attention away from this superb battle at the front. Robertson then, just as he did early on in the race, back in the lead. Oh, goodness me!
That's a massive blow up there. Peter Baker, and he's going to be well out of this race. That looks expensive, I'm afraid.
Well, I'll tell you what, Peter Baker, thank goodness, is such an experienced rider. He spotted the plot immediately, and he felt that go and into pit lane. I reckon we may have got away with that. I don't think there will have been time for any oil down the circuit. Oh, great shape for Peter Baker, but he handled that beautifully. He's out of the way, which means that now Michael Robertson is off on his own at the front. And, well, Steve, could be the most astonishing thing. There's a bit of a sniff for Chris Barnes now. He could just, having got his best ever finish in the earlier race, finishing third, he could just now have a go at second.
Yeah, good riding here from Chris Barnes, and he'll be aware, he'll have seen all that smoke on the exit of Brooklands. Meanwhile, at the front here, brilliant riding from Mick Robertson. He has looked solid, and at the end of each weekend is where we see the best of him. Once he's got used to the circuit, he's found out where he's quick and where he's perhaps not so quick, and he puts it all together and has just looked a brilliant, brilliant rider. He's a real talent. Watch out for the name there, because the Flying Scotsman is looking good, and he's closing in on the Superstock 1000 Championship leaderboard. He's moved up to third overall in the GP1 as Ian Mackman tries to fiddle his way through some tail enders.
I tell you what, Ian Mackman had got back ahead of Chris Barnes, but Chris Barnes has done him here, and they're on their last lap. So for Barnesy, this could just be it. This could be, I think he's got a couple of fans over in the background, this could just be his best ever finish. Well, we know it should be Michael Robertson out the front. There we see Dave Twyford, who fell off right at the beginning of the earlier race. Good to see him back on board for this one. He'll be enjoying himself there. As down towards the checkered flag, number 99, all on his own at the moment. But my goodness me, Steve, hasn't been handed this one. He's worked hard for it.
He has. He had to get his way, make his way past Baker to begin with. But a fantastic win, really well deserved.
Superb stuff, yes, and he appreciates that. That was a long race too, and he knows it's been a bun fight. Peter Baker, such a tough competitor, and one that any young rider has to measure himself against. Michael Robertson, though, takes the win. Chris Barnes nails his best ever finish at second place, ahead of Ian Mackman, Alex Heaton, Lee Reevely and Michael Blank. There we see Michael Robertson, Chris Barnes and Ian Mackman, the 1, 2, 3. Standings, Phil Crowe, of course, still has that lead, but Ian Mackman closing in handily. Mike Robertson's not that far adrift. Pete Baker 4th, Alex Heaton 5th, and there in the Superstock 1000s, Ian Mackman with the lead there once again. Michael Robertson not too far adrift. Alex Heaton in 3rd ahead of Angelo De Rosa. And on the podium for the Super Twins, Lee Reevely there from Lee Powell and Charlie Flett. And in their standings, Lee Reevely with the lead handsomely from Scott Adam and Charlie Flett. And that's it from the